In the headlines, a tariff shock ahead of Modi's China trip, the United States delivers a sharp economic blow on India by slapping a 50% tariff on its imports, just ahead of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Beijing. A so-called signal between Putin and Trump takes shape. The Kremlin confirms that signals about the Ukraine conflict were exchanged during the high-level talks between Russian President Vladimir Putin and Trump envoy Steve Witkoff. Trump calls it great progress and hints of a possible Putin-Zelensky meet. In the Philippines, Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment case has been put to the shelf. The Philippine Senate votes to archive the said case against the Vice President, at least for now. In Australia, the Great Barrier Reef suffers its worst coral decline in decades. Scientists warn the damage, driven by cyclones, bleaching, and climate stress, it may be irreversible if global temperatures continue to rise. A voice from Mindanao, the governor of Sultan Kudarat, is calling on the Philippine government to formally support Palestine's bid for statehood. Tragedy strikes Ghana. A military chopper crashes, killing 8 people, including 2 cabinet ministers. The government declares a national day of mourning as investigations are underway. A rampage at a U.S. military base, one of America's largest, is on alert after a soldier opens fire, injuring 5 others inside a unit area. The suspect taken into custody by the military police. And after being denied bail, Sean Diddy Combs' legal team reaches out to Trump, hoping for a presidential pardon ahead of his sentencing. But could Trump intervene? We'll find out later. I'm Fatima Nawzil. Newsline World starts now. Just days before Prime Minister Narendra Modi's expected trip to China, the United States is turning up the heat on trade, slapping higher tariffs on Indian imports. The move is being seen as both economic and geopolitical. Joy Tabanao files this report.
United States President Donald Trump has signed a new executive order doubling down on trade pressure against India. The order imposes an additional 25% tariff on Indian goods, bringing total U.S. tariffs to a hefty 50%. The new rate kicks in on August 27. Washington says the decision is tied to India's continued purchases of Russian oil, despite global sanctions over the war in Ukraine. And the timing is no coincidence. The tariff spike comes as India prepares for what could be its biggest trade standoff with Washington in years. In 2024 alone, India exported $81 billion worth of goods to the U.S., with more than $60 billion now possibly affected by the new duties. Still, Indian economists downplay the overall hit to growth, saying exports make up a small slice of the country's $4 trillion economy. The Reserve Bank of India has kept its growth forecast steady at 6.5%. But beyond trade, the bigger message may be geopolitical. Prime Minister Modi is expected to attend the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Tianjin, China, later this month. If confirmed, it would be his first visit to China since the deadly 2020 Galwan Valley border clash and his first official trip since 2018. Chinese President Xi Jinping, Russian President Vladimir Putin, and other key regional players are all expected to attend. While details remain under wraps, Modi is also expected to make a stop in Japan, highlighting New Delhi's efforts to balance regional ties as pressure from the West grows. Joy Tabanao, your citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
It's one of the world's most iconic natural wonders, but today, scientists are raising the alarm. Australia's Great Barrier Reef has just suffered its worst coral loss in nearly 4 decades. New research points to a dangerous combination of bleaching, cyclones, and climate stress. Justine Nazario has more.
The Great Barrier Reef, home to over 9,000 marine species, is facing an environmental crisis. According to the Australian Institute of Marine Sciences, coral cover in the northern and southern parts of the reef has plunged by as much as 30%. Scientists say the decline follows a massive bleaching event in 2024, one of the most severe on record. The cause? Extreme ocean heat, made worse by tropical cyclones, major flooding, and outbreaks of crown of thorn starfish, all of which have pushed the reef's fragile ecosystem to the brink. Of the 124 reefs surveyed, nearly half showed a dramatic drop in coral cover. The hardest hit, fast-growing species like Acropora, which are particularly sensitive to temperature spikes. Despite the devastating losses, researchers say coral still survives in all regions, but they warn the reef is undergoing pressure, especially with climate change accelerating. Without urgent global action to reduce emissions and protect marine life, experts fear the future of the Great Barrier Reef and the biodiversity it supports could be in serious jeopardy. It's a stark warning from nature, and one scientists say we can't afford to ignore. This is Justin Nazario, your citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
Provinces in eastern China are stepping up emergency drought relief as heat waves dry up rivers and threaten crops. Emergency water relief measures are now underway in the region as local governments are rushing to secure water and protect vital harvests. Daniela Paulite reports.
Eastern China is facing a severe drought. In Shandong Province, Juxian County, rainfall has plunged more than 60% below last year's levels. With the rivers drying up and heat waves persisting, it's now the most severe drought on local record. Water sources are nearing exhaustion. To respond, officials are diverting water from the Xingfenglong Reservoir, one of the region's largest, into dry riverbeds to help restore irrigation supply. In neighboring Anhui Province, the story is much the same. Crops are struggling under scorching heat and parched conditions. Local teams are drilling dozens of emergency wells, cleaning out old ones, and clearing irrigation canals to ensure water can reach farms. To supplement the shrinking supply, officials have also tapped into China's massive south-to-north water diversion project. Since late July, over 14 million cubic meters of water have been transferred into the region. The eastern route of the diversion project draws from the Yangtze River, lifting water north through a series of ancient canals and pumping stations, is now playing a key role in drought relief. As climate extremes become more frequent, East China is racing to secure water supplies and protect food production in the country's agricultural land. Reporting for Newsline World, Daniela Paulite, SMNI News.
Where is the vice president? That's the question circulating online and in political circles as Vice President Sara Duterte remains largely out of the public eye. Amid growing speculation and a dip in her latest survey numbers, her spokesperson is setting the record straight, insisting the vice president is still actively leading the office of the vice president, albeit virtually. Jason Rubrico has a full story.
In recent days, questions have been raised about the whereabouts of Vice President Sara Duterte, with some asking whether she remains actively engaged in her duties. While her exact location and schedule have not been disclosed, Office of the Vice President spokesperson, Attorney Ruth Castelo, assured the public that the Vice President continues to lead the office virtually.
Her involvement never diminished. Even if she's not physically here, she's still the one running the office. Kasi may technology naman diba? Tayo lang, yung mga nandito, kami yung gumagawa, kami yung mga sundalo, but the instructions come directly from the Vice President herself.
Castelo says that in the past 3 years, Vice President Sara Duterte has made it a priority to reach underserved communities through public service. She adds the Vice President remains hands-on, personally identifying areas in need and even checking updates on the OVP's social media pages.
She may not be here physically, hindi lang natin nakikita, pero yung trabaho na kailangan niyang gawin for the office is still being done. Minsan virtual, minsan ghost.
Despite the political noise and ongoing impeachment talk, Castelo emphasized that the Vice President has given firm instructions to stay focused on work and public service.
Impeachment or no impeachment, the office of the Vice President will work the same or even harder to fulfill the mandate of the office and to fulfill also the advocacies of the office of the Vice President. We're shielded. We do not know what's happening outside. So, tuloy lang kung anong trabaho. Yun lang ang focus naman kasi. Well, of course, that's a standing order from the Vice President also na whatever happens outside, whatever happens in politics, diretso lang, focus lang on the office of the Vice President, yes.
Castelo also addressed the results of the latest Tugon ng Masa survey by Octa Research, which showed a slight drop in Vice President Duterte's trust and performance ratings.
We, of course, respect the survey, regardless of the source, kung saan po galing yung survey na yan. With that, kung totoo man yun o hindi, we have resolved to do better for the office of the Vice President. The Vice President herself also has resolved to work even harder than we are all working now. So pagbubutihin po natin lalo ang serbisyo na ibibigay natin sa taong bayan.
According to the survey, Vice President Sara Duterte's trust rating dipped from 58% in the first quarter to 54% in the second quarter. Her performance rating also fell 6 points from 56% to 50%. Meanwhile, Castelo responded to claims made by former Senator Antonio Trillanes, who said Vice President Duterte and former VP Leni Robredo may now be political allies.
Well, I am not privy to that, but if it's true, I'm sure the Vice President will get a lot of useful tips from former Vice President Leni Robredo.
For God and my beloved Philippines, I am Jason Rubrigo, SM9 News.
Up next, tragedy strikes Ghana. Military chopper crashes, killing 8 people, including 2 cabinet ministers. The government declares a national day of mourning as investigations are underway. In the Philippines, Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment case has been put to the shelf. The Philippine Senate votes to archive the said case against the Vice President, at least for now. Newsline World will be back after the break.
Sa tuwing bumabaha, hindi lang seguridad ang nalalagay sa alanganin, pati na rin ang kalusugan. Isa sa mga bantang dapat iwasan, ang leptospirosis. Ano nga ba ito? Ito ay isang sakit na dulot ng bakterya na tinatawag na leptospira. Nakukuha ito sa pamamagitan ng kontak sa ihi ng mga hayop na may leptospira tulad ng mga daga. Pwede itong makuha sa pagsulong sa baha o pag-inom ng kontaminadong tubig. Nakakapasok ito sa katawan sa pamamagitan ng mga sugat, mata, ilong o bibig. Ang mga sintomas nito ay lagnat, mapulang mata, hirap umihi, masakit na tiyan, masakit na kalamnan, at masakit na ulo. Paano nga ba maiiwasan ang leptospirosis? Ugaliin ang tamang pagtatapon ng basura dahil ang mga maruruming lugar ang kadalasang pinupuntahan ng dagang may dalang leptospirosis. Iwasang lumusong, maglaro o lumangoy sa baha, lalo na kapag may sugat. Gumamit ng bota at gloves kung hindi maiiwasang lumusong sa tubig baha. Sumpuin ang mga daga sa bahay at panatilihin ang kalinisan sa komunidad. Hugasan ng malinis na tubig at sabon ang mga paa matapos lumusong sa baha. Sa kalinisan ng bawat isa, nakasalalay ang kaligtasan ng buong komunidad. Ang paalalang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng SM9.
Maging alerto at handa tuwing may bagyo. Upang manatiling ligtas, narito ang ilang mahahalagang paalala. Manatili sa loob ng bahay. Iwasan ang paglabas, lalo na kung malakas ang ulan at hangin. Mag-imbak ng pagkain at malinis na tubig. Maghanda ng emergency kit. Manatiling updated sa lagay ng panahon. Maghanda ng mga flashlight at extra baterya. Panatilihing fully charged ang iyong cellphone. I-secure ang mahahalagang dokumento sa waterproof na lalagyan. Patayin ang kuryente, gas at tubig kung may banta ng pagbaha. Alamin ang iyong local emergency hotlines. Putulin o tapyasan ang mga sanga ng puno na maaaring mabuwal sa malakas na ulan at hangin. Lumikas agad kung inabisuhan ng mga otoridad. Maging ligtas at maging handa sa panahon ng kalamidad. Ang paalalang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng SMNI.
A national tragedy in Ghana. 2 cabinet ministers and 6 others were killed when a military helicopter went down in the southern Ashanti region. The government has confirmed the devastating loss as the nation enters a period of mourning. Virgil Parba has a full story.
A deadly helicopter crash has claimed the lives of 8 people in Ghana, including 2 of the country's top-ranking cabinet officials. Killed in the crash were Defense Minister Edward Omani Buama and Minister of Environment, Science and Technology Ibrahim Murtala Mohamed. They were on board a military Z-9 helicopter when it lost radar contact and went down during a routine flight over central Ghana. Also among the victims, 3 senior government officials and 3 Air Force crew members. The Ghana Armed Forces say search and rescue teams were immediately deployed, but sadly, no survivors were found. The exact cause of the crash remains under investigation. Officials have not ruled out mechanical failure, but say all possibilities are being reviewed. In response, the Ghanaian government has declared a national day of mourning with flags at half-mast and full state support promised for the victims' families. This marks one of the most significant losses for Ghana's leadership in recent memory, sending shockwaves through the nations and across West Africa. Investigators from Ghana's Military and Civil Aviation Authority are now working to determine what went wrong. More updates are expected in the coming days. This is Virgil Parba, your citizen correspondent, reporting for the Newsline World.
A shooting incident inside one of the U.S. Army's largest installations has left 5 soldiers injured. The gunfire erupted at Fort Stewart in Georgia, home to the 3rd Infantry Division. Authorities say a fellow soldier opened fire inside the unit area. Franco Baranda has the news.
What began as a typical day inside Fort Stewart quickly turned violent when a soldier opened fire on his own unit. Army officials say 5 service members were injured in the attack. 3 of them required surgery but are expected to recover fully. 2 others sustained less severe injuries. The gunman, whose name has not yet been officially released, is an automated logistics specialist with no prior combat deployments. According to Army officials, he had been arrested for driving under the influence back in May, but his command was unaware of the incident until today. The shooting took place in a unit area and was not part of a training exercise. Investigators are now working to determine the motive behind the attack. Fort Stewart is the largest U.S. Army base east of the Mississippi River, often called upon for rapid deployments to conflict zones. Meanwhile, speaking at the White House on Wednesday, President Donald Trump vowed the perpetrator of this atrocity will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
I'd like to say a few words about the shooting at Fort Stewart in Georgia. As you know, 5 people were seriously wounded and 2 very, very seriously hurt around 11 o'clock this morning. The shooter is now in custody, and the Army Criminal Investigation Division is on site to ensure that the perpetrator of this atrocity, which is exactly what it is, will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. The entire nation is praying for the victims and their families, and hopefully they'll fully recover, and we can put this chapter behind, but we're not going to forget what happened. We're going to take very good care of this person that did this horrible person.
As of now, the suspect is in custody. No charges have been formally announced, but military and federal law enforcement agencies are continuing the investigation. Reporting for Newsline World, Franco Baranda, SMNI News.
Vice President Sara Duterte's legal team is welcoming the Senate's move to archive the impeachment case against her, or at least for now. After 4 hours of deliberation, 19 senators voted in favor of archiving the impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte. 4 voted against and 1 senator abstained. The Senate's decision follows a recent Supreme Court ruling which said the transmission of the articles of impeachment to the upper chamber was premature. Among those who voted to archive the complaint were Senators Alan and Pia Cayetano, Ronald De La Rosa, J.V. Ejercito, Jinggoy Estrada, Francis Escudero, Sherwin Gatchalian, Bongo, Lito Lapid, Loren Legarda, Mark Coleta, Aimee Marcos, Robin Padilla, Rafi and Erwin Tulfo, Joel Villanueva, Camille Villar, Mark Villar, and Senate President Mig Zubiri. Voting against were Senators Bam Aquino, Risa Hontiveros, Kiko Pangilinan, and Tito Soto. Senator Ping Lacson abstained. In a brief statement, Vice President Duterte's legal team said, they respect the Senate's move and will now focus on complying with the Supreme Court's directive by filing their formal comment on the case. The impeachment complaint now remains archived unless revived through a new resolution or a fresh ruling from the High Court. Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva is warning of growing threats to the country's economy and sovereignty as he pushes back against a fresh round of U.S. tariffs. Lula says Brazil will fight back at the WTO and wants to rally allies in BRICS for a coordinated response. This report. During a major economic meeting in the capital, Lula made his sharpest remarks yet against Washington's recent tariffs on Brazilian goods.
Nos mais de 200 anos de relações bilaterais de uma ação arbitrária como esta que sofremos. Nossa democracia está sendo questionada. Nossa soberania está sendo atacada. Nossa economia está sendo agredida. Este é um desafio que nós não pedimos e que nós não desejamos. Em nenhum tarifaço aplicado a outros países.
The Brazilian president said his government would fight the tariffs using every legal mechanism available, starting with the WTO.
A todas as medidas cabíveis, a começar pelo OMC, para defender os nossos interesses.
While ruling out trade negotiations with President Trump, Lula said he would still reach out, not to talk tariffs, but to invite him to the upcoming COP Climate Summit. Lula said he also plans to extend the same invitation to China's Xi Jinping and India's Narendra Modi to hear their positions on the climate crisis. As part of a broader pivot, Lula highlighted Brazil's efforts to diversify trade ties, citing talks with the UAE, Canada, and key Asian economies.
O Brasil hoje não pode ficar dependendo de um único país. Nós queremos negociar desde o Uruguai, Paraguai, Argentina, Equador, Bolívia, com a China, com a Rússia, com os Estados Unidos, com a Índia, com os países asianos. Nós queremos negociar, nós queremos vender, nós queremos comprar, nós queremos crescer, nós queremos compartilhar as coisas nesse mundo.
A Brazilian trade mission led by Vice President Geraldo Alckmin will head to Mexico on August 24. Both nations have been hit by U.S. tariffs. Lula also defended Brazil's digital payment innovation against what he calls fear-based economic retaliation. Meanwhile, Lula has also proposed a coordinated BRICS response to U.S. tariffs. In an interview with Reuters, the Brazilian president said Trump is attempting to dismantle multilateralism and impose unilateralism by negotiating one-on-one with other countries. He warned that smaller economies like those in Latin America have little leverage under such a system. Lula said he plans to reach out to his Chinese and Indian counterparts, Xi Jinping and Narendra Modi, followed by other BRICS member leaders on the issue. One rising striker takes his first shot at making a mark, while a long-time NFL sideline habit gets flagged for good. From Arsenal's new number 9 to a major ban on smelling salts. Here's your latest sports roundup with Carla De La Peña.
New face and a new hope up front. It may have been a preseason friendly, but the energy inside Emirates Stadium was anything but casual. Victor Gyökeres earned his first start in an Arsenal shirt against Spanish side Villarreal. The Swedish striker didn't find the net, and Arsenal fell short, losing 3-2. But supporters got a glimpse of what could be. Despite a 2-month training break and just over a week with the team, Gyökeres showed purpose. His off-ball movement and pressing drawing praise from the sidelines. Manager Mikel Arteta says the debut was a necessary step towards match fitness, with Arsenal's Premier League opener against Manchester United just days away. So while the scoreboard didn't favor Arsenal, the bigger picture was all about preparation. And Gyökeres has officially entered the spotlight. For years, they've been part of football's pre-game rituals. Tiny packets packed with a powerful punch, smelling salts, used by players to wake up, lock in, or bounce back from a hit. But now, the NFL says not anymore. Starting with the 2025 season, smelling salts will be banned during games and on the sidelines. The league cites new medical research linking regular use to lung irritation, dangerously spiked heart rates, and even neurological strain over time. Doctors warn it's not a performance boost, it's a stress response. And the biggest concern? Players using smelling salts after a hit could be masking concussion symptoms. The ban will take effect at the start of the 2025 season. Until then, teams are being urged to educate players and start phasing out the habit. So those iconic moments, ripping open a packet and taking a deep inhale, may soon be a thing of the past in the NFL. This is Carlo De La Peña bringing you the latest sports news.
Coming up, a voice from Mindanao. The governor of Sultan Kudarat is calling on the Philippine government to formally support Palestine's bid for statehood. And after being denied bail, Diddy Combs' legal team reaches out to Trump, hoping for a presidential pardon ahead of his sentencing. But could Trump intervene? We'll find out later. Stay tuned for more news.
Matunog ngayon ang salitang impeachment sa Pilipinas dahil sa nakambang impeachment trial kay Vice President Sara Duterte. Pero ang tanong ng taong bayan, ito ba ay para sa interes ng bansa o para sa politikal na motibo lamang? Sa ilalim ng saligang batas, may mga opisyal ng pamahalaan na maaring tanggalin sa pwesto sa pamamagitan ng impeachment. Kabilang dito ang Pangulo, Pangalawang Pangulo, mga mahistrado ng Korte Suprema, mga miyembro ng Constitutional Commission at ang Ombudsman. Maaaring ma-impeach ang mga nabanggit na opisyal dahil sa matinding paglabag sa konstitusyon, pagtataksil sa bayan, panunuhol, katiwalian, mabibigat na krimen o pagtataksil sa tiwala ng publiko. Sa kasaysayan ng Pilipinas, ilang matataas na opisyal na ang humarap sa impeachment trial. Noong taong 2000, si Pangulong Joseph Erap Estrada ang unang Pangulo ng bansa na humarap sa isang impeachment trial. Taong 2011 naman, si Ombudsman Mercedes Gutierrez ay naharap din sa impeachment dahil sa umano'y kapabayaan sa pag-aksyon sa mga kaso ng katiwalian. Hindi na siya humarap sa pagdinig sapagkat bago pa magsimula ang impeachment trial ay nagbitiw na ito sa pwesto. Noong 2012, si Chief Justice Renato Corona ay napatalsik naman mula sa Korte Suprema sa unang pagkakataon na impeach ang isang Chief Justice matapos mapatunayang hindi niya idineklara ang kanyang Statement of Assets, Liabilities, and Net Worth o SALN ng buo. Ano nga ba ang proseso ng pag-impeach sa isang mataas na opisyal batay sa konstitusyon? Maaaring magsampa ng reklamo ang isang miyembro ng Kongreso o isang mamamayan basta may sumusuportang kongresista. Kapag 1/3 ng mga miyembro ng Kamara ang sumang-ayon, tuloy na agad ang proseso ng impeachment sa Senado. sa sandaling maaprubahan ito ng House of Representatives. Binubuo na ang Articles of Impeachment, isang dokumento na naglalaman ng mga aligasyon o batayan para sa impeachment. Pero tandaan, walang impeachment proceedings na maaaring isampa laban sa parehong opisyal ng higit sa isang beses sa loob ng isang taon. Ang Senado naman ang magsisilbing impeachment court kapag ang Pangulo ang nililitis, ang punong mahistrado ang namumuno, ngunit hindi bumoboto. 2/3 ng mga senador ang kailangan para hatulan ang opisyal. Anong parusa? Pagkakatanggal sa pwesto at diskwalipikasyon na makabalik sa gobyerno. Ang impeachment ay hindi simpleng usapin sa politika. Isa itong seryosong proseso na maaaring makaapekto sa kinabukasan ng bansa. Kaya sa panahong puno ng ingay at intriga, kinakailangan nating maging mapanuri, patas at maging makabayan. Bantayan natin ang katotohanan, pumanig tayo sa hustisya at higit sa lahat, unahin natin ang interes ng sambayanang Pilipino.
As the war in Gaza shows no signs of slowing down, pressure is mounting around the world to end the violence and recognize the rights of the Palestinian people. Here at home, a Mindanao leader is taking a stand, calling on the Philippine government to support Palestine's bid for statehood. MJ Mondihar has this report.
Amid the ongoing crisis in Gaza, the international community is renewing its calls for an end to the conflict in the Middle East. Here in the Philippines, Sultan Kudarat Provincial Governor Datu Pax Ali Mangudadatu expressed support for Palestine's independence. In a press conference, he urged the provincial board to pass a resolution in support of the call.
I am urging the Sangguniang Panlalawigan to issue a resolution urging the national government headed by President Marcos to officially support the recognition of Palestine as an independent, free, and sovereign state sa upcoming United Nations conventions.
According to the United Nations, the death toll in Gaza continues to rise as a result of Israeli military operations. Reports from humanitarian groups indicate that most of the casualties are civilians, including children and women.
Ilang thousands na po ang namatay. By the latest count of the United Nations, 70,000 na po ang namatay because of the oppression, injustices, and genocide conducted by Israel. Nakakalungkot.
In July of 2024, reports emerged that an Israeli airstrike hit a Catholic church in Gaza. There were evacuees inside the church when the bombing occurred. Even the Pope expressed concern over the incident. This prompted renewed and international calls for justice and an immediate end to the violence.
In fact, last month, natamaan po ng bomba ng Israel ang isang Catholic church. Diba? Even the Pope made comment about it. The war has to end. It's not a war. The genocide has to end.
According to the governor, this should not hinder comparison. Coming from a region with its own history of conflict, Governor Mangudadatu stressed the importance of peace and solidarity.
Although Palestine is a world away from Sultan Kudarat, that will not make us stop caring for the people around the world. Dapat mahal natin sila.
As of latest United Nations data, 143 member states have recognized Palestine as a free and sovereign nation, excluding the Philippines. For many, however, the statement by a local official serves as a reminder that affirming a people's dignity transcends foreign policy. It is a matter of humanity and fundamental principle. For Government of Philippines, MJ Mondihar, SMNI News.
Japan marks 80 years since the atomic bombing of Hiroshima, honoring the lives lost and renewing calls for global peace. Stella Maris has a story.
On Wednesday, hundreds gathered at the Hiroshima Peace Memorial, offering flowers, prayers, and holding photos in silent tribute to the 140,000 lives lost. Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba led the ceremony, renewing calls for nuclear disarmament.
広島、長崎にもたらされた惨禍を決して繰り返してはなりません。非核三原則を堅持しながら、核兵器のない世界に向けた国際社会の取り組みを主導することは、唯一の戦争被爆国である我が国の使命であります。
On August 6, 1945, the U.S. dropped the first atomic bomb on Hiroshima in a bid to force Japan's surrender and end World War II. Survivors and visitors gathered in prayer, united in their call for peace. While Japan remains non-nuclear by law, it relies on the U.S. nuclear umbrella for protection under the U.S.-Japan Security Alliance. This is Stella Maris, your citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
Hala, magnanakaw!
Magnanakaw! Magnanakaw!
Magnanakaw!
Magnanakaw! Magnanakaw!
Ano kayang gagawin ko? Ipamimigay ko yung konti para tumigil sila sa pag-iingay.
Pare, magnanakaw, namimigay ng pera.
Ito ang sayo.
Wow! Ang bait ng magnanakaw!
Ito naman sayo.
Kuya, yung
eto
share ko.
Huwag ka nang maingay. Eto pa. Tama na yan. Nakikipalato lang kayo eh. Huwag nang maingay. Diba? Konti lang pinamigay ko, mabait na ako. Tahimik na sila. Easy. Ngayon, pwede ko na tong suluhin.
Masaya ang mga tao, pero tama po ba ito? Di po ba ang nakikinabang sa magnanakaw ay kasabwat ng magnanakaw?
Ikaw, kinukonsenti mo ba ang legal na korupsyon?
Isang digmaan na parang pelikula. Missiles, drones, at bunker-busting bombs. Pero ang epekto, totohanan. Daan-daang patay, wasak na infrastruktura, at nagmahal ang presyo ng langis na nakaapekto sa pandaigdigang merkado. Ito ang tinaguriang 12-day war o 12 araw na gyera sa pagitan ng Iran at Israel. Isang gyerang nagbago sa takbo ng politika, ekonomiya, at seguridad, hindi lang sa Middle East, kundi sa buong mundo. Hunyo 13, 2025, binomba ng Israel ang Iran para pigilan ang umano'y pagbuo ng nuclear weapons. Gumanti ang Iran. Libu-libong missiles at drones ang pinakawalan na ikinamatay ng 28 sa Israel. Sa loob ng 12 araw, kaliwat kanang opensiba ang inilunsad ng magkabilang panig. Hunyo 22, sumali na ang Amerika. 3 nuclear sites sa Iran ang binomba gamit ang B-2 stealth bombers sa Isfahan, Fordo at Natanz. Sabi ng US, layo nitong hadlangan ang nuclear program ng Iran. Pero para sa Tehran, ito raw ay pagtalikod sa diplomasya. Hunyo 24, inanunsyo ni US President Donald Trump ang ceasefire sa pagitan ng Israel at Iran. Pero ilang oras pa lang, muling nagkagirian. May ulat ng missile strike ng Iran na itinanggi nito kaya gumanti ang Israel. Sa huli, tumigil din ang putukan. Parehong panig, nagdeklara ng tagumpay. Parehas ding nagturuan kung sino nga ba ang lumabag sa ceasefire. Ngunit para kay Trump, pareho lang lumabag ang dalawang panig. Bandang gabi ng Hunyo 24, tumalab na rin sa wakas ang ceasefire. Ngunit habang pansamantalang natahimik ang putukan, nananatiling mainit ang mga tanong. May saysay pa ba ang diplomatikong kasunduan kung nauuna pa rin ang dahas? Marami ang umaasang ang tigil putukan ay simula ng mas mahinahong diskusyon. Pero ang duda nananatili. Sa Israel, nagtago ang mga sibilyan sa mga bomb shelter. Habang sa Iran, maraming taga-Tehran ang napilitang umalis sa kanilang mga tahanan patungong Turkey at Armenia para makaligtas sa gulo. Sa Iran, ayon sa Health Ministry nila, 610 na ang patay, 4,746 ang sugatan. Sa Israel, 28 ang nasawi, ayon sa Army Radio. Marami rin sa military commander at scientist ng Iran ang nasawi. Sa Israel, umabot sa 8.7 bilyong dolyar ang kabuang gasto sa digmaan. Katumbas ito ng halos 725 milyong dolyar kada araw sa loob ng 12 araw, habang ang Iran nahirapang makabangon dahil sa nasirang pasilidad. Matapos ang deklarasyon ng ceasefire, nakatutok na ulit ang puwersa ng Israel sa Gaza. Ang Iran walang plano na agad makipagnegosasyon sa Estados Unidos. Bagaman sinuspindi rin nito ang muling pakikipagnegosasyon sa US patungkol sa kanilang nuclear program, bukas pa rin ang pinto ng diplomasya. Tuloy pa rin ang nuclear program ng Iran na iginiit nilang para sa mapayapang layunin. Git pa nila, lalo pa raw paiipingin ang pagsulong nito sa gitna ng tensyon. Sa kasagsagan ng tensyon, nagbanta ang Iran na isasara ang Strait of Hormuz, isang makitid na lagusan kung saan dumadaan ang halos 20% ng langis sa buong mundo. Bagamat hindi pa ito isinara, nagdulot na ng panik ang banta ng Iran. Tumaas ang presyo ng langis. Umabot sa $78 kada barrels ang krudo. Damang-dama ng buong mundo ang epekto ng digmaan. Ang pandaigdigang merkado nataranta. Sa kasagsagan ng gyera, bumagsak ng 2% ang US S&P 500 at tumaas ng 30% ang gastos sa maritime insurance, nagpabigat sa kalakalan sa Asya. Sa Pilipinas, na umaas sa imported na langis, lalong tumaas ang presyo ng gasolina, LPG at bilihin na nagpalala sa inflation. Ang mga Pinoy na nasa Middle East na nais bumalik sa Pilipinas dahil sa takot, nahirapan makauwi. Kapag tumataas ang presyo ng langis, sumasabay din ang gasto sa produksyon ng mga bilihin, kaya't ramdam ang epekto nito hindi lang sa petrolyo, kundi sa buong ekonomiya. May panukalang fuel subsidy para sa mga PUV. Pero sapat kaya ito? Isa itong paalala na kahit malayo ang labanan, ramdam.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is on a mission to strengthen economic ties between the Philippines and India, starting with a major push for the Sanglay Aerocity project in Cavite. And at the same time, the president is highlighting deepening collaboration across key sectors during a high-level business forum in New Delhi. Preslin Catarong reports.
At the Taj Mahal Hotel in New Delhi, President Marcos met with top executives of the GMR Group, a strategic partner in the Sanglay Aerocity project, an ambitious plan to build an international airport and aerotropolis in Cavite. The massive development is expected to cost between $3 to $4 billion, with projected revenues of up to $500 million and job opportunities for as many as 15,000 Filipinos. Joining the president were key cabinet officials, including Trade Secretary Cristina Roque, Finance Secretary Ralph Flecto, and Interior Secretary John Vic Rimulya, who says this project could ease congestion at NAIA and transform Philippine air travel.
Pag makompleto po yan, within 2.5 years, makadadagdagan tayo na isa pang runway, 20 million more passengers within 2 years. Luluwag ang NAIA, gaganda, liginhawa ang biyahe na lahat ng ating Pilipino at dadami ang mga dayuhan na pupunta dito bilang turista.
GMR Group is an Indian multinational conglomerate established in 1978. It operates through a public-private partnership model and is globally recognized for its work in airport, energy, transportation, and urban infrastructure sectors. Also in New Delhi, President Marcos led the Philippines-India CEO Roundtable, where 17 top executives gathered to explore new ways to boost trade, investment, and innovation between the two nations. In his keynote remarks, Marcos emphasized growing convergence between Manila and New Delhi in vital sectors like information technology, healthcare, infrastructure, and business process management.
We are here not only to present to you the Philippines as an investment destination. We are also here to listen to you, and so that we in the Philippines know what it is that you require to bring that investment to the Philippines.
The Philippines-India CEO Roundtable is a flagship initiative designed to enhance private sector collaboration between companies currently operating or planning to operate in either country. For God and from a beloved country, the Philippines, this has been Cresceline Catarong, SMNI News.
U.S. President Donald Trump says he is seriously considering taking control of Washington, D.C.'s police force, calling the city unsafe and in need of urgent federal intervention. In a media huddle, Trump said crime in the capital is ridiculous, citing recent assaults and ongoing safety concerns. He added that his team is reviewing the possibility of overriding the D.C. Home Rule Act, potentially stripping local officials of key powers. The president also hinted at deploying the National Guard and launching a full federal cleanup, targeting everything from violent crime to graffiti and crumbling roads.
Are you considering taking over the DC police? Is that an option on the table?
We're considering it, yeah, because the crime is ridiculous. I could show you a chart comparing DC to other locations, and you're not going to want to see what it looks like. Now, we want to have a great, safe capital, and we're going to have it. And that includes cleanliness, and it includes other things. We have a capital that's very unsafe. We're going to do something about it. So whether you call it federalized or what, and that also includes the graffiti that you see, the papers all over the place, the roads that are in bad shape, the medians that are falling down, the median in between roads that's falling down. We're going to beautify the city. We're going to make it beautiful. And what a shame. The rate of crime, the rate of muggings, killings, and everything else, we're not going to let it. And that includes bringing in the National Guard, maybe very quickly, too. We have to run D.C. This has to be the best run place in the country, not the worst run place in the country. And it has so much potential, and we're going to take care of it. You're going to be safe. You're going to be safe walking down streets. You're not going to get mugged.
For Showbiz Update, a heartbreaking farewell to a young star gone too soon. Fans are mourning the death of the Walking Dead actress Kelly Mack. And in a separate headline, making waves in the music world, Sean Diddy Combs' legal team is now turning to former President Trump, seeking help ahead of the rapper's sentencing. Here's more from Sigrid Castañeda.
Fans were heartbroken over the death of actress Kelly Mack, best known for her role as Addie in the American post-apocalyptic horror drama series The Walking Dead. Kelly's central nervous system was attacked by an aggressive tumor, a diagnosis confirmed by her family. She passed away this weekend in Cincinnati, Ohio. The news was confirmed by her sister Catherine to Kelly's personal Instagram account, saying the actress was surrounded by her family during the time. The post revealed that the 33-year-old actress died on Saturday evening with her mother, aunt, and a close companion named Karen by her side. A memorial service will be held in Cincinnati on August 16, with a second service planned in Los Angeles at a later time. Fans were quick to share their condolences in the comment section. The Walking Dead co-stars and crew members also paid tribute to Kelly Mack. Kelly began her acting career in commercials at a young age. Her first movie role was as Chloe in The Elephant Garden in 2008, for which she received an acting award from the Tea School of the Arts. Her legacy will always be cherished by her family and everyone who had the privilege of working with her in the industry. Following the judge's decision to keep Sean Diddy Combs in prison until his sentencing in October, his legal team has reached out to U.S. President Donald Trump seeking intervention for bail before the hearing. The rapper was convicted on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution offenses and faces a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. This request to the president was confirmed by attorney Nicole Westmoreland, a member of Combs' defense team. But could Trump possibly help the rapper? Last week in a Newsmax interview, Trump revealed that Combs' lawyer had contacted him, but he says he's unlikely to pardon the rapper. A White House official was also asked about a possible pardon, but stated that they will not comment on the request. As of now, Combs remains held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn with multiple bail requests, including a $50,000 million offer having been rejected. Combs is scheduled to be sentenced on October 3, 2025 in the Southern District of New York. This is Sigrid Castaneda, your citizen correspondent, bringing you the latest showbiz.
Golden retrievers are already known for their playful charm and intelligence. But in today's dose of internet joy, one golden retriever named Sunday is capturing hearts online, not with a bark or howl, but with a moo. In a now viral video posted on the TikTok account at Sunday, the golden retriever, Sunday can be seen wearing an adorable cow hat while letting out a loud, deep, and drawn-out moo that sounds exactly like a cow.
Good girl. Sunday, say moo. Good job. What does the cow say? Good girl. Sunday, say moo.
Fans and viewers can't get enough of Sunday's hilarious barnyard impersonation, with many calling it Moovilous. The Kremlin has confirmed that Russian President Vladimir Putin and U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff exchanged what it calls signals during a high-level meeting in Moscow. Witkoff's visit comes amid new pressure from U.S. President Donald Trump to secure a peace deal or risk new tariffs, Prince Tripoli reports.
These are the new signs of diplomacy between Washington and Moscow, as the Kremlin confirms that Russian President Vladimir Putin and U.S. President Donald Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, exchanged signals about the Ukraine conflict in their latest meeting. The meeting took place in Moscow. Kremlin aide Yuri Ushakov described the nearly 3-hour talks as useful and constructive. Witkoff, a longtime Trump associate and now special envoy, is on what the U.S. president has called make-or-break mission to secure progress toward a Russia-Ukraine peace deal. Putin and Witkoff reportedly discussed bilateral relations, strategic cooperation, and the Ukraine conflict, exchanging what Ushakov called signals of the situation. Ushakov said Putin has received corresponding signals from President Trump but declined to elaborate pending full debrief. Trump has recently pushed Moscow to strike a deal with Kyiv, warning of secondary tariffs as high as 100% on Russia and its allies if no progress is made. Moscow says it welcomes Trump's mediation but has pushed back against threats, calling ultimatums counterproductive. Meanwhile, Russian Direct Investment Fund CEO Kirill Dmitriev, a key economic envoy, expressed optimism online, thanking Witkoff for the visit and that dialogue will prevail. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Prince Tripoli, your citizen correspondent.
Trump praised the high-level meeting between Putin and Witkoff in Moscow. The talks come as Washington pushes for a breakthrough in the Ukraine conflict, and Trump is now suggesting a possible summit between Putin and Ukraine's Zelensky. Jane Cognita for the details.
U.S. President Donald Trump is describing the Putin-Witkoff talks in Moscow as highly productive, saying his envoy relayed messages that brought both sides closer to ending the Ukraine conflict.
Well, there's a very good prospect that they will. and we haven't determined where, but we had some very good talks with President Putin today, and there's a very good chance that we could be ending the end of that road. That road was long and continues to be long.
In a post in Truth Social, Trump also said great progress was made on the Putin-Witkoff talks and that he's already briefed some European allies about it. The U.S. president also revealed that a direct meeting between Presidents Putin and Zelensky is now being considered.
But there's a good chance that there will be a meeting very soon.
Asked how close a peace deal may be, Trump remained cautious.
Well, I don't want to say. I've been disappointed before.
This has been Jane Conita, your citizen correspondent for God and my beloved country, the Philippines.
Words of the song. When we love, we do not love in words, but in deeds. And that's all for this edition of Newsline World. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines. I'm Fatima Nawzil. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.